Okay, can you tell us about the removal and the subsequent reentry of wolves into Yellowstone and how did that go about?
Sure. Yes, it's certainly a very sad, depressing story to get into, but it's a story that has a very happy ending. Yellowstone is the world's first national park. We just had our 150th anniversary, 150 years. Um, in the early years of the park, the rangers really did not have a very good understanding of how a national park should be managed. There probably really weren't any college majors back then that had anything to do with how you would do that professionally in a scientific way. And that led to a lot of big mistakes. And the biggest of all of them was the early rangers. They really liked seeing the elk and the deer, and especially the bison. And they didn't like seeing wolves hunting those animals. So the deer, the elk, the bison, by the early rangers were regarded as quote unquote the good animals. So anything that was hunting the good animals by definition were bad animals. And they felt the right thing to do in Yellowstone was to kill off the bad animals. So they eventually, either through trapping or shooting, killed every single wolf. Where my cabin is today, I'm just right on the edge of the park. If I was to drive about maybe 12 or 13 miles to the west, I would go by the place where the last two wolves were killed. A bison had died there. The local rangers encircled the bison carcass with wolf traps. They came out the next morning. Two young wolves were caught in the traps. They were shot in the kill and killed. Those were the last two original Yellowstone wolves. When they died in 1926,
Wow.
there were no more wolves in Yellowstone. And it took a long time for the Park Service to realize what a terrible mistake they had done back in the 1920s. And we've already talked about the reintroduction. So eventually in 1995, after many years of planning and research, that's when we finally corrected that mistake and brought wolves back to Yellowstone. And they're thriving now. And we never expected that the wolves would create this thriving wolf ecotourism issue where people from all around the world come to Yellowstone to see wolves. It's become a booming part of our economy. We think it's adding about $82 million to the local economy,
Oh,
having the wolves here and having them visible.
hmm. That's great. But it's a sad story though. It's really, I can't even imagine that they even would just see losing an entire species as something that's acceptable. That's just, just really, just something else.